Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be comparing the results of the 2024 election, this election, and comparing it to the results from the 2020 presidential election during COVID to compare and contrast and see what was different and where did Donald Trump improve from his 2020 performance. But before we get started, make sure you guys are subscribed, click the bell so you don't miss out on my content, press the like button, share this video, don't forget we have memberships. If you're interested, you can find the links at in the description section. So as you can see right here, this map was the results of this election 2024 with all the margins for every single state included, and you compare it to the results of the 2020 presidential election. Previously, during COVID, this was the 2020 electoral map with all the margins included. And keep in mind, some states had different electoral votes. Obviously, the electoral votes in some certain states have changed. For example, in 2020, California had 55. Now, in 2024, they have 54. And same thing goes for Ohio. It has 18. It had it in 2020. Now it has 17 in this election. So some states had electoral votes changes in this election. So Biden had 306 electoral votes to Donald Trump's 232. In this election, the map looks completely different. Donald Trump had 312 electoral votes compared to just the 232 that he had in 2020. That's a major improvement to Kamala Harris's 226, performing not only worse than Joe Biden, but also worse than Hillary Clinton in 2016. So let's begin with the popular vote. Biden had 81 million votes, and Kamala Harris significantly underperformed him. And I think the main reason to that is because of COVID. I think COVID really driven high turnout, and also BLM was a major factor that really boosted Biden to 81 million votes. And in this election, Kamala Harris has not even 70. She's at 69 million votes compared to the 81 Biden had. So she underperformed him by roughly 12 million votes overall, significantly doing worse than Joe Biden did in 2020. And I do think COVID helped him, obviously, and BLM as well. And you compare it to Donald Trump, he received 74 million votes in the last election of 2020, and he actually slightly underperformed in this election, even though he is creeping up to 74. So he basically received the same amount of votes as he did in the last election in this election, because right now, as you can see, he's at 73,889,000. So basically, he is getting 74 million votes like he did in 2020. So in terms of the popular vote for Donald Trump, he actually received the same amount in 2020 and in 2024. And also, he did win the popular vote in this election, in which he did not do in his 2016 victory as well. So aside from that, we take a look at every state by state. Not only the swing and battleground states, but also very solid blue states have now shifted. You compare some solid blue states from 2020 are no longer safe Democrat. They are now likely, in some cases, even lean. For example, New Jersey in this election only voted for Harris by 5 percentage points, as you can see right here. That's not even likely, guys. That's a lean margin. And in 2020, New Jersey went to Biden by 15 to 16 points. That's a major shift. New Jersey saw a 11 point shift to the right in favor of Donald Trump in this election. So that's a major difference in that solid blue state. It's no longer solid anymore. And as you can see right in New York, it's likely. And in 2020, it wasn't. It only went to Kamala Harris by 11 percentage points. And Biden won it by 23. Not looking good for Kamala Harris. And also another solid blue state. A numerous amount of typical, usually solid blue states are now likely to lean. For Illinois as well, guys. Illinois only went to Kamala by 8.5 percentage points in this election. Last time, Biden won it by, I believe, around 18 percentage points. That's roughly a 10-point shift to the right in favor of Donald Trump. So Illinois in this election cycle for 2024, New Jersey, New York, all of those are supposed to be solid blue states, are now competitive in this election cycle. Donald Trump did tremendous with the popular vote. And one thing I do want to mention is also independents outvoted Democrats. There's more independents that voted in this election than Democrats. And it is true that some people who call themselves independent actually are not really independent, and they do tend to lean either to one side, like me. That is kind of true. I do call myself an independent, but I still do have a slight partisan leaning. Obviously, has their own biases, but it's not looking good for Kamala Harris at all. And now we move on to the real swing states. In Florida, Donald Trump only won it by like under 4 percentage points in 2020. And guess what? It's safe for Donald Trump. Anything over 10 points, in my opinion, is solid. He won it by 13 this time around. That is safe, probably because of Cuban Americans, Hispanics as well. They really trended towards the right. So his victory in Florida was pretty much around the same as Marco Rubio from the 2022 midterms, but obviously slightly underestimated Ron DeSantis. That should not surprise anybody. Obviously, he's the governor of that state. And then you have Texas. Donald Trump this time around won it by, I believe, around 12 percentage points. As you can see right here, he got 56% of the vote to Kamala Harris's 42% in the state of Texas. Last time, it was likely for Donald Trump in 2020 by 5.5 percentage points. And now it's solid. He won it by double digits over 10 percentage points. This was a border state. That is probably the main issue. Kamala Harris cannot address that whatsoever. It's a losing issue for her. Therefore, that probably makes sense. And then you have the state of Iowa and Ohio. Both of them are solid red for Donald Trump in this election. And both of them in 2020 were actually likely by single digits of 8 percentage points for both of those states. Now both of those states in this election actually voted for Donald Trump by over 10 percentage points, cracking double digits. And in 2020, Colorado actually had 9 electoral votes. Now they have 10, so that's another change. This state is increasing population. So Colorado and New Mexico were solid blue for Joe Biden. Guess what? In this election, they were likely. Kamala won New Mexico by about 6 percentage points. That's considered likely. She won Colorado by about, as you can see right here, 54% of the vote to Donald Trump's 43%. I mean, you can argue that's a safe margin wherever you characterize 15 to 10%. Doesn't really matter. But Colorado, as we all know, is bluer than New Mexico, so that should not surprise anyone. But in general, they were a little close. But Colorado is a left-trendy state. It is shifting towards the left, so that doesn't really surprise me. And then you have the state of Virginia. Kamala Harris only won it by like 4 to 5 percentage points, and Biden won it by 10 points in the last election. So it was like likely to, safe for Biden last time, and now it shifted towards the lean column for Kamala Harris. And then you have Nevada. In 2020, Biden won this state by a lean margin of around 2 percentage points. This time around, Donald Trump was the victor in Nevada by a little over 4 percentage points. So it shifted from lean Democrat in 2020 to lean Republican in 2024 on a general election level. You have Arizona. Same thing. But it was tilt for Joe Biden, as you can see, by 0.4% in the last election of just around 11,000 votes. And now in this election, it is lean for Donald Trump of about 4 percentage points. He cracked 52% of the vote. So Kamala Harris is almost 47%. A very good victory for Donald Trump. And then you have the state of Georgia. It was tilted Democrat in 2020 for Biden by just 10,000 votes, 0.3%, mainly due to the fact that it had a lot of African American turnout in the Atlanta metro area, basically because of that BLM effect. And the main reason why Arizona went to Biden in 2020 was because of basically Maricopa County, and also a lot of undecideds, independents really broke for him, and a lot of the McCain-style voters, people on the right call them neocons, the establishment, the rhinos, who partially voted for Trump in 2016, but were McCain, Romney lovers, broke out for Biden because he was seen as more of a moderate candidate, and Trump was kind of extreme at the time. And now a lot of them returned to Donald Trump because Kamala, as we all know, was not moderate, as Biden was portrayed as at all in 2020. So no surprise. And then you have the states of, we go back to Georgia. He won it by 2 points this time around. So it still was actually pretty close, but still a very good victory for Donald Trump. But in future elections, I can very well see Georgia going to the Democrats. And as for North Carolina in 2020, Trump won it by 1.5 percentage points. Now he won it by a little over 3%. So it shifted 2 points to the right. Meanwhile, they elected Democratic governor, which I correctly predicted Josh Stein would defeat Mark Robinson. And you know what I also correctly predicted? Every single state, all 50. I predicted exactly 312 to 226, and I was right. And I talked about that in a previous video if you want to see that, but it's kind of off topic. And then you have the state of Minnesota. It's leaned for Kamala Harris by just around 4 percentage points. In 2020, it was likely about 7 percentage points. You have the state of Wisconsin. Tilt for Donald Trump in this election by just about a percentage point. And in 2020, it was tilt for Joe Biden by under a percentage point of 0.6%. You have the state of Michigan. In this election, lean for Donald Trump. I think a lot of Arab turnout really boosted Donald Trump in Dearborn, Michigan, some parts of Detroit as well. And what's going on with Israel pissed off a lot of voters. And Trump said he would stop that war. So I think that really benefited Donald Trump. And in 2020, it was lean for Joe Biden. It was actually the bluest Rust Belt state of the three in 2020, which kind of caught me off guard because in this election, Wisconsin was it voted to the left of Michigan and Pennsylvania, which I just was not thinking about that at all. And in 2020, it was the reddest of the three. So that actually shifted very weirdly. And now Michigan all of a sudden is the reddest Rust Belt state in this election. And then you have Pennsylvania. So Michigan went to Biden by 2 points. But Pennsylvania this time around voted for Donald Trump by over 1 percentage point, enough to categorize that as a lean margin. In 2020, Pennsylvania went to Biden by just about over a percentage point, a lean margin. So these are the shifts and the trends from 2020 compared to the results of this 2024 electoral map. And then you have the last and final state, New Hampshire. Went to Biden by 7 percentage points. I had a lot of college-educated voters. That group specifically really pans out well for Democrats. And in this election, it was lean for Kamala Harris. She won New Hampshire by exactly 3 percentage points, as you can see right here from the results, or actually almost 4 now. Did not really surprise me. I predicted she would win by about 5, so I slightly overestimated her, but I was kind of accurate and spot on. So there you guys go. These were the results of 2024 compared to 2020. Now, in terms of demographics, key demographic voters, Donald Trump has significantly improved among Hispanic voters. He actually won Hispanic men, by the way, by 10 points more than Kamala Harris. And he did do about 5 to 6 points better among African Americans as well. But still, Kamala won the majority of them. That should not be a surprise to anybody. But he did win suburban women. And I think the Amish really helped Donald Trump in the state of Pennsylvania to carry him over the top. So in terms of demographics, Hispanics really shifted towards the right in states like Florida. No surprise there. Obviously, Cuban Americans are Republican. And some parts of Arizona and Nevada and Clark County for the Vegas area as well. And Texas really shifted way more to the right than I originally thought that was going to happen. I think people were fed up with the border. So I think Kamala lost because she only had 3 months to campaign on. People didn't really know her. And when she, had the primary in 2020, she received 2% of the vote. Didn't even reach Iowa. She didn't get to the Iowa caucus. And she was swapped in. No one voted for her. And I think Biden really hurted her chances because if he were to drop out earlier in sometime January and they actually had an open primary with a bunch of candidates, I think that would boost her chances of beating Donald Trump. But I think in this election, to sum it up quickly, Democrats shot themselves in the foot by swapping in Kamala at literally the last second. If they had a primary in January and Biden decided to quit earlier, I think that would help them out. Also, Tim Walz, as the VP for Kamala, really did not do a single thing. I think if she picked Josh Shapiro, that would help in some parts of the Rust Belt, like Pennsylvania, but it's not going to do anything. It's actually going to hurt Kamala in Michigan. So people saying if she picked Josh Shapiro would help her, I mean, maybe, but still, that would actually hurt her in Michigan, as Michigan was the reddest Rust Belt state in this election, which, by the way, was the polar opposite. In 2020, it was the bluest. So that really surprised me. So maybe if Josh Shapiro was the pick for Kamala Harris as VP, it would help her in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, but she would still lose Michigan, obviously, with that large Arab community. They do not like Josh Shapiro at all whatsoever. So even if that happened, she would still lose. Donald Trump would get 283. It would be closer instead of the 312, but still not going to do a single thing. I think this election for Kamala was doomed from the very beginning, and they really couldn't do anything. And it was a decisive victory for Donald Trump in a trifecta, which I also correctly predicted It looks like they're on track to win the House, and they already won the Senate with 53 seats, flipping Pennsylvania as well. Bob Casey got defeated by David McCormick, which I did not expect that one coming. I had Casey actually winning by 2 percentage points, so I had them getting 52 seats instead of the 53. So that's pretty much it. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. One last final reminder to subscribe, click the bell so you don't miss all my content. Press the like button, share this video. Don't forget, if you're interested, we have memberships. You can find the links to that in the description section. Thank you everyone for watching.